Good morning, everybody.
Okay, Jerry.
Okay, on September 20th, liquor license is concurred with Parkman Township trustees and not requesting a hearing on the liquor license being requested by Parkman Market Express LLC located at 16250 Main Market Road in Parkman. And for the Department of Development, Community and Economic, accepted the resignation of Tammy Mullen, Program Coordinator, to be effective September 16th, 2019, and granted permission to advertise for the position of full-time Program Coordinator internally for a period of 5 days with applications accepted Monday, September 23rd, 2019 through 4:30 p.m. on Friday, September 27th, 2019. If no qualified candidate is found, the position will be advertised externally until filled.
Great. Thank you. Adrian. Good morning.
Good morning. So today's financials include an appropriations transfer for archives into their general fund equipment account for the purchase of new copiers. A supplemental appropriations for common pleas mediation, Fair Police Rotary, and VAWA funds to true up their payroll to the end of the year. And a supplemental appropriations for mental health Adams Fund contract services account for grant renewals and state fiscal year 2020 spending. Among the encumbrances is a travel request from the Common Pleas Court to attend the Ohio Court Judicial College Training on Evidence. And among the vouchers are $30,231.09 from Common Pleas Court to Vista for their digital scanning software maintenance contract for 2019-2020. $377,623.28 from the Engineer's Office to Roniak Paving Incorporated for payment application number 1 on the asphalt resurfacing of sections G through J. $32,000 from JFS to Geauga Board of Mental Health for their third quarter 2019 therapeutic services. And $61,370.50 from Water Resources to GPD for engineering services for Chardon Township wastewater treatment plant and collection systems project. And finally, a revenue certification from Mental Health for additional state grant and Lake Board awards in their Adams Fund.
Thank you. What's the third quarter 2019 therapeutic services? Do you know what that is?
This is for the Joint Juvenile Detention Center, I believe. Yeah.
For therapeutic service?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's their contribution?
To JFS,
Yeah.
correct.
From JFS?
Correct, yes.
So we're spending $128,000 a year on, is it always the same amount?
It's a quarterly thing, 32,000, yes. And it's the same this year as it was last year as well.
It'd be interesting to get like an actual use report out of that,
To see how much is being utilized.
because are we getting reimbursed if it's not used?
I do not know the answer to that question. I can check and I can ask
Well,
JFS
see,
and find
we
out.
could even talk to,
Craig.
and JFS here today,
Yeah.
I don't think Craig is here.
or mental health is though, so, okay.
I don't know if you want to remember tonight.
I'm just saying, how could something be the same all the time for something that changes?
I think it's just their share of the services. They probably get money from several
Right.
different sources, and this is just what JFS share is.
I see.
Might be part of the state money that they get that they then pass through to.
I mean, the commissioners, out of the general fund, we contribute, I don't know if that portion has changed recently, but a sizable amount, plus the building itself.
Right, but then we get the refund at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Based on what was actual costs.
Okay.
No, this is the youth home. I don't think this isn't like the
Yeah.
Portage Geauga.
Right.
This is
Yep,
the youth home.
Yep, yep.
Right.
Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments? None? Motion, please, for financials.
Second.
Commissioner DeWitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Lyon?
Yes.
Thank you.
Adrian, are you staying for the next
Oh,
one?
yes, I probably should. I always do that.
Those will stay for the next two.
Yes. So we are requesting that the board amend the budget hearing schedule. We are moving transit from this afternoon to Tuesday, October 1st. This is next Tuesday at 3 p.m. And we are truncating the prosecutor's budget hearing. It was originally scheduled to go 2:30 to 3:15. He has something that he needs to be back uptown for, so we are moving the ending time up from 3:15 to 3 p.m., making room for transit, so.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Very good.
And then number 4 is we are asking the board to approve and execute resolution 19-121, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. This came out of the Budget Commission meetings last month.
You feel pretty comfortable with that, right? Then
Yes.
our portion of it.
Yes.
Yep. Very good. Okay, a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Great, thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Next item is an agreement with Ravenwood Mental Health. This is all part of the sale of the aging portion of the Ravenwood building. There's a section that because we're keeping the senior center in the building, there was a portion of one of their offices they weren't able to clear out for their sale, so the agreement as part of the overall sale was we would provide them space for as long as that senior center is in the existing building that we're keeping there.
Okay.
So I've already talked with Jessica about we need to start looking for a place, to build a new senior center, or get into a new senior center, so as quickly as possible for that, so we reduce this contract.
Very good. Okay. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Great, thank you. Okay, Casa. Is Casa here today?
This was, you asked me to do this first.
Okay.
And I had sent it to
Okay.
her, and they're
Nobody's
not
here?
They're
All
not
right.
here,
Well,
so-
we can just make a quick acknowledgement here.
Okay.
So Casa for Kids of Geauga is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 19-122, recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and unite to end the silence and stop domestic violence. If we can get a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
And their event is on the 6th.
On the 6th
On
at,
Chardon
on
Square.
Chardon Square. Okay. We'll get that information out.
Morning, gentlemen.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning.
How you doing, Shane?
Good.
Good.
So, items 7, 8, and 9 are 3 projects that we are currently working on. All 3 are slated to receive federal funding through CEAO. First project is the resurfacing of County Highway 5, Quilla Road, sections D and E, which goes from 322 to the Chardon City Court line. 2.78 miles of roadway there. And the second project is a countywide guardrail safety program. About every 4 or 5 years, the CEAO organization puts out some grant money to do safety upgrades on guardrails on county highways. So we're going to utilize some grant money to replace some end assemblies, upgrade some rail sections that are outdated, put them at the higher height that is recommended from FHWA.
Mm-hmm.
Third project is also a safety project for upgrading striping and pavement markings. We have an annual pavement marking program. This allows us to utilize some safety money to pay for that instead of all of it coming out of our local budget.
Perfect. Okay, if we could get a meeting on those 3.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 19-123 to improve a Quilla Road CH5 sections D through E in Clarendon Township. County engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 19-124 to improve various sections of county roads and bridges by improving guardrails And the county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 19-125 to improve various sections of county roads by applying pavement markings for the year 2020.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Okay, the next two items are paired together. It's, we're asking the board to pass legislation to allow us to cooperate with ODOT and NOACA to be part of a federal safety grant. It used to be called a Tiger Grant. I don't know what it's called, what name it's under now, but it's a federal safety program aimed at non-vehicular transportation. The folks at NOACA went out kind of on their own pursuing monies to help facilitate a couple of top items on the safety program that we had worked with them on. And it includes putting widened shoulders on 608, 87, 168, Mumford, and Newcomb. Initially, 608 and 87 had already had some programming and funds through ODOT, and they lumped this into this larger program. And as the county engineer's office, we were asked to help administer that project locally. So as an effort to cooperate and to help bring approximately $14 million in aid into the county, particular areas where it was targeted, higher incident rates with vehicles and non-motorized vehicles. We're asking the commission to allow us to cooperate with them and help utilize those funds. The second part is just an agreement. It establishes some protocols and requirements on our part. We've been through the auditors, or not the auditors, the prosecutor's office, as well as our administrator, reviewed the language to remove some of the, if you don't do this, you pay for it all kind of stuff. And because there's state routes involved, we said, well, we're not going to be financially responsible for those. We'll help administer that part of it, but we're not going to be financially liable for 3 state routes. And they said, oh, yeah, that's just boilerplate stuff.
Yeah, right.
And
Make sure you get that out. Yeah.
ODOT took it out, and so we went through a little back and forth over the last couple of days to get it amended and the prosecutor's office to sign off on it. So I believe that's what's on your agenda today.
Excellent, yeah. And I'd just like to, thank you and your office and actually, think that this goes to the top, really. The Trump administration was really the one who got this ball rolling and pushed this thing over the hump. And Senator Portman's office, and I think
We
they
did have some
a
help
lot
down
of
there.
support there, and and a lot of local efforts and support were, we had this highly organized. It was a unique project, and I think that's what helped win that award for sure.
Yep.
But again, thank you for your efforts, and this office I know supports you guys 100% in everything, and especially this. So
Yeah, it's good.
Said something on the phone yesterday about number 3.
Oh,
It's not checked on any of them, so I
Okay.
just wanted to,
Yeah.
we will have to clarify that.
right.
okay, so if we could get a motion, please, or we'll read
10 and 11.
10 and 11. Yeah.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 19-126 for preliminary legislation LPA ODOT LET project agreement participatory for the Geauga County-wide safety project agreement number 33413. County engineer's office is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the LPA federal ODOT LET project agreement for the countywide safety projects.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Yeah, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Yep, appreciate it.
Okay.
Come back.
next item here is a combination between the Geauga Public Health Department and the auditor's office. The health department created 4 new funds. Their board created 4 new funds, and in order from the auditor's office, in order for them to put those funds into the New World system, they need an acknowledgement from the board that the funds were created and that they're authorizing the auditor to put them into New World. This is just the resolution or the motion to authorize that.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Okay, planning commission. Linda, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, how are
Great,
you?
great morning. Another beautiful day.
Okay, so this is approval of replat for Great Lakes Cheese. It's been a long time coming, my understanding, maybe 2 years in the works. It has gone before, excuse me, the township for several variances. What they were doing is reorganizing the configuration of the lot lines. They acquired the former Blazing Bill's restaurant location, and their sublot 7R is going to contain the existing facility, and then the expansion of a 289,000 square foot addition off the east side of it, in a total of 73.3 acres. And then the other sublot is sublot 7R, and that is going to be the location of the office headquarters. And that's going to be 17.4 acres.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Yes.
There's the cover
Great, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll actually find this today.
Okay.
Hello, how are you? Good, good.
So we're here today, we got information that our grant we typically do with the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging to access older American Act funds will be due very shortly. So we are currently working on that and hoping to do an early submission just to make sure everything is in order and correct. So we're asking for authorization once we complete that paperwork, which we're hoping by Friday, that Commissioner Lennon can sign that for us so we can run that down to Cleveland.
Good. If we could get a reading, please.
The Department on Aging is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute all documents included in the grant proposal application for 2020-2021, Title 3B and Title 3E for transportation and evidence-based disease prevention and health promotion programs to the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spillier? Commissioner Lennon?
Thank you
Great,
so
thank
much.
you. Appreciate it.
See you this afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Morning.
Good
How are ya?
Hello.
Switch
Hi,
it
Dave.
up.
Morning.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm right.
So we have 2 items on the agenda, both are related to our CDBG funding. Item 15 is in regards to our planning year 2017 award. So we were awarded 5 projects, 2 had been completed, and then with the transition in the department and a few setbacks with some bidding, we had 3 projects that were not completed. We would have had to finish those by the end of August, draw all of our money down by the end of this September, and then close this out by the end of October. So after discussions with our state representative, Ben Keppel, he suggested that they would be willing to give us an extension. So we would have until end of February to finish the work on these 3 remaining projects. We would have until end of March to draw down funds, and then until the end of April to close out the projects.
And which ones are?
The 3 remaining, so we have a DDC clinic paving project that was bid out in 2018, but the bids came in too high. So I've obtained an updated engineering estimate, so we have a good idea of what that will cost. It's under $50,000, so I should be able to bid that out pretty quick.
It won't change our contribution or anything to that project?
Nope, so they've all signed commitment letters that anything that exceeds what the award was for the original CDBG amount, they
Mhm.
will make up the difference.
Okay, good.
Yep, and then that's phase one of a larger project that they have, so that's paving the main parking lot, and then they did receive a 2019 award to pave the driveway.
I remember this going back a while back.
Oh, yeah, well, this was the 17 grant, so just the application for it goes back 3 years.
Yeah, okay, oh, okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was, because wasn't there phase 2 to this?
Yes,
They
that's what we're gonna do
In the
next.
2019.
Okay, okay,
Yep, and we know we need to move on that because with the weather, we won't have until February to be finishing this
Gotcha.
work. So
Okay.
that's priority one. We also have the Opera House elevator project, so I have an updated estimate on that. Good thing is, if we would exceed the amount that was awarded, which was 70,000, we would be able to use revolving loan fund money
good.
to cover any difference in that cost. And I also, that's priority to move on because it can take some time to get the parts. So I'd like to go out to bid as soon as we can on that project as well, so we can get that rolling. And then the third project was our strategic plan in community and economic development, and we've already started that.
Yeah.
And I will be done with that by
Yeah,
end of February.
Just another quick comment on this process. This is really great work on Jessica's part, because initially, as soon as she came on board, she had to establish a relationship with our rep down at the state, with ODSA,
Mhm.
and explain the situation, and create that relationship with trust, and then to go on and create a very compelling document that ended up in them agreeing to an extension. That's
Yeah.
doing a lot in a short period of time.
so what,
Just want to commend her for that.
oh, yeah, definitely. What's the story with the elevator, though? I mean, that, again, that was one from back in 2016 or something, I think we were messing around with, right?
Yeah, that project apparently just never got off the ground with the scope of work to start with,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to figure out exactly what has to get done. I think with Glenn's help now, we're going to be able to narrow that down.
Okay,
Jessica's been meeting with them and with a rep from one of the local elevator companies.
I know the company that, made the parts has gone out of business years and years ago, and I think this elevator was so
12
old.
Yeah, now it's a 12-week lead
It's a
time to get
custom-built
parts.
shaft we have to
Right.
build in there.
Yeah.
Into an elevator, into a building, I mean, this is, see the frustration?
Yeah.
I mean,
So this will be a whole remodernization.
Yeah.
So basically a new elevator.
but for what, at the end of the day, it's like, that,
Gotta have it.
I mean, I guess we do, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we got the funding.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
large chunk of
Building wise,
funding.
you have a 3-story building,
I
which
mean,
required the
yeah.
ADA requirements to have an elevator, so that's.
No, we
But
get
I
it.
think some
We
of
get it.
the reason why this was pushed out was because we weren't sure what we were doing.
Okay.
With those buildings, and now that we know
Right.
that those are gonna be there for at least another few years, we don't want the elevator going out.
No, I get it, I get it.
It's also a selling point,
Yeah.
for selling the space.
Hopefully we'll recoup that, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, if we could get a reading, please, on 15.
The Department of Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the Office of Community Development 2017 Community Development Program amended scope of work and budget for grant BF 17-1AZ1, extending the grant deadline for completion through April 30th, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Yes.
Seven
Aye. Okay, 16.
And item 16, that's also in relation to CDBG funding. So since we received that funding from state, we have to have a fair housing plan. So each year that we apply for CDBG funding, we apply with a new plan for how we're going to address fair housing in the county. The Fair Housing Commission was established back in the 70s by the Board of Commissioners to address this need and act as a resource. So we need to have 7 members on the commission. We currently have 5. All of their terms will be expiring. They've all told me that they would like to renew except for one. He would like to step down, Mr. Al Thompson. So he has recommended a replacement for himself, also from Middlefield Banking, Mr. Daniel Plant. And then you have his resume and his application. So he works directly with mortgage and lending. So that ties in well with fair housing. On our commission, we have someone from Geauga Metropolitan Housing Authority. We have someone from real estate who works in compliance and does trainings on compliance. So this is a good placement. Daniel will be replacing Al. He would expire in December of 2019, and then we'll renew him in January and then name 2 other board members, so we have our required 7.
So our fair housing requirements are essentially education.
Education, informational, we're a resource connecting them with other resources in the county. So the Fair Housing Commission meets with me monthly and we discuss any complaints that we've received and identify other resources to connect our citizens with.
So they're advisory.
Don't they put on an educational class once a year?
Yeah.
Yes, so we host workshops, and Nancy, who's on our board, she teaches compliance courses in real estate, so she's been a really great resource. I think we'll be hosting a workshop together.
Kel, been doing a lot of her classes.
Yeah.
He's a good friend.
She's semi-retired now, so she said, she has extra time to devote to the commission, which is
Good.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Have you had any challenges filling these seats? Getting people volunteer to be on the commission?
We're trying to look at what direction the complaints are going. We're seeing a mental health aspect to some of the complaints, where people are calling in, and I don't think it's necessarily that they have discrimination occurring, or it's more of a mental health concern. So we're looking at, okay, we have banking, we have someone from Geauga Metropolitan Housing. What else do we need on our board? So we have a few people in mind. I think that they'll be willing to apply for the commission, and they can serve either 1 or 2 year terms. So my thought is maybe have them serve 1 year, see how they feel, if they'd like to stay on, and then we can renew them maybe for a 2 year term.
Okay. Okay, great. So if we can get a reading on 16, please.
The Department of Development is requesting the board appoint Daniel Flint to the Geauga County Fair Housing Commission to the current term ending December 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sit back down.
Hey,
He's
good
got a
morning.
long way to go.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. Good to see you. Good.
How are you?
Good.
All right, so retention, right? Prevention, retention, and contingency. PRC is like what I like to call it.
That's what everybody calls it. Yeah, so we've completed a biennial review, which is required by Ohio State Revised Code. We're not recommending any changes to the plan at this time. The plan can be changed at any time, so that's a good thing about it. But at this time, we've completed the required biennial review. Family Planning and Services Committee has approved it, so now we just need the commissioner's approval.
So does that take a lot of work, or is that a year-long, gathering all that?
Well,
info, or is that not?
we go through the plan.
Yeah.
And just review what we're doing. If there are
Make sure.
any questions about services that need to be revised, or we have certain poverty levels set for assistance and that type of thing.
I see.
But again, they're not recommending any changes at this time, and we can change this at any time. Seems like what we have is working for now.
So they have the Family Services Planning Committee, is that who reviews it?
Yes.
Yeah. And who sits on that Family Services Planning Committee?
And several representatives from other assistance agencies
Okay.
in the community.
So some of the peers around town?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's our current list.
Oh, very
So
good.
don't ask me to name names.
Yeah? Okay. All right, so if we could get a reading on 17, please.
The Department of Job and Family Services is requesting the board certify that the requirements of Ohio Revised Code 5108 pertaining to the biennial review of the Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan by the Family Services Planning Committee have been fulfilled, and that the PRC plan is approved to be submitted to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, and further approve and authorize the President of the Board to execute the Geauga County Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan biennial renewal 2019 of Ohio Revised Code 5108.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Okay. Steve,
Come up now.
all you.
Morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
I met your new employee yesterday.
Which one? We have so many.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know.
Mr. Webster
But,
who was here this morning, yesterday doing paperwork.
yeah.
He's working down at the
Yeah. McFarland?
night shift. He's
Yeah.
trying to be taken.
Good.
He's a good guy, he's a veteran.
Yeah.
So obviously he's great.
Seemed like he's ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
all
pretty,
excited.
he's pretty excited.
Good.
I think he's a good fit.
Yeah. You got a good team of guys down there for sure.
Oh, yeah, we're pretty happy right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Get a lot of things done. And tonight we have another meeting, so.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, what I have here is, we're requesting that the board approve and award the bid to Workman Industrial Services Incorporated for the Auburn Corners wastewater treatment plant expansion and Troy Oaks Pump Station in the amount of $3,991,848, as they represent the lowest and best bid, and further include the bids of alternate 2, 5, and 7 in the amount of $32,000 for a total project cost of $4,023,848. Bid bond submitted shall serve as a performance bond for this project.
And this is expansion on a current system, correct?
Right, there are actually two systems.
Mhm.
One on the east side of Ladue, one on
Mhm.
the west side. The east side is pumping over to the west side. That plant will be expanded to handle more wastewater. Plus, there's activity going on out there that will grow the region anyhow, so timing's just right.
Yeah. And what would be the catalyst for this expansion? Was it?
Well, the expansion was to basically shut down the Troy Oaks plant
Mm-hmm.
and just turn that into a pump station and increase capacity at Auburn
I see.
Corners, and then also include the possible growth there.
Yep.
Jerry has more to say.
Yeah, it was due, the Auburn Corner, or the Troy Oaks plant was due for a replacement.
So that'll be
From the
eliminated?
From the late
Yes,
sixties,
it'll
early
come.
seventies. So that was, when we were looking at it, the plants are literally right across from Ladue from each other.
Okay.
So we worked with ODOT to get the force main on the causeway.
Yeah.
Across Ladue, and we can convert.
So Troy Oaks
So it was
will,
basically eliminating the operation of one plant.
okay, so that'll come offline and this will serve
That would
as,
serve
yeah.
both sides of Ladue there.
gotcha.
So we only have one point where water's being distributed
And
instead of two.
does this, will the industrial park be connected into
Yes.
this?
Yes.
I mean,
It is already
It's
connected.
already there.
It is. So this will be part of the Great Lakes cheese and all that?
Yes.
Mhm. Is this why it's being expanded, is
No.
due to that?
No,
No.
the Auburn Corners is being expanded because Auburn Corners was designed for the Auburn side of the plant.
Okay.
For the Auburn side of Ladue.
Yep.
So when we were adding in the Troy, we had to expand Auburn
Gotcha.
Corners to add for the additional flow coming from.
So they were already on.
Troy
the-
was already, yeah, Troy was sized for that, but it was, like I said, it was built in the late sixties, early seventies.
You
It was
should
a, it was
visit
a steel plant, so it
I've
was
seen it,
rusting
yeah.
away. And then we had an issue several years ago with the digester.
It's the old
portion
sand
of it,
kind,
that
right?
It
Yeah.
was emptied to be cleaned out, and
Mhm.
we had a bad rainstorm, and the groundwater actually lifted the steel tank out of the
Oh,
ground.
good.
So.
It looks like
it
a
was-
Higgins
it was a-
boat hitting D-Day. It's that high up. Pretty interesting.
No kidding.
So there was a number of things that kind of came together at that point. It was like, let's look at this. And one of my goals when I was over there was to reduce the number of plants that we operate, so that
Yeah.
the operators could spend more time at the plants. But
So this is
we
the,
started the Auburn Corners just before, we started this whole Auburn Corners project and Troy Oaks replacement just before Henry Drive hit. So we're
So-
gonna drop one and then add one.
so this is, you think is a sound investment
Yes.
moving forward?
Yes.
And then as far as the funding from this, can you explain how that works? That it's, not coming out of the general fund or, it's out of your fees and? Yeah.
There was some portion grant and most of it's gonna be loan that is gonna be repaid over time by the fees there.
Okay,
that customers put in.
very good.
Doesn't
There's no
touch
other
tax.
Water
No.
Resources does not get any money from the
Tax.
general fund.
Okay.
Water Resources actually,
Self-sufficient.
Water Resources actually puts
Well,
money
you-
back into the general
just
fund
wanted-
because they pay rent, they pay cost recovery.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to say that so that,
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted you to say it so that, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's understood that.
I'd say it
yeah.
every time I got the
Yeah,
opportunity,
yeah.
I was over there to
Yeah.
make sure people understood.
Yeah,
And then when people yell at me and say.
Right.
For
yeah.
On the alternates, were they, was it,
The the
was the bids let and then the alternates come on afterwards?
They come on
Yes.
top. We asked for, there was 7 alternates that they could bid on, and we wanted 3 of them. One of them was a electronic gate to open and close, because during the winter, when they plow, you get a lot of snow, it's very difficult for the snow plow to stop, get out and push the swing gate open. So this way it just slides open and they can continue.
Sure.
That was the most expensive alternative. And the 2 other ones were slide upgrades.
And then, was all the contractors aware of all the alternates
Yes,
altogether at the
yes.
same time?
Everything was planned.
Okay.
What, so Workman was awarded the bid, are you familiar with Work, have we done
Yeah,
business with them?
they've worked
Yeah.
for Water Resources. They've done a good job.
They're
Good.
working for us right now, pretty,
They look like they came in pretty,
yeah, they
they
did.
came in low, yeah. Excellent. Okay.
I so move.
Second.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Washington?
Aye. Thank you, Steve, appreciate it. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to see that project.
Yeah, okay,
It's a long
we
time.
got Bob Boss here, Geauga Community Action. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good, good. We're back.
We're back.
Back in action. So, you want to just start off and maybe just refresh everybody's memory what you're proposing here today?
Yeah, we are proposing, requesting a letter of support from the commissioners to indicate that we would support a merger of Geauga Community Action with the Lake County Community Action Agency, which is referred to as Lifeline, to increase services within Geauga County, maintain a Geauga County presence for a community action agency, and as indicated, retain staff in the offices here. And so we had distributed those packets to you gentlemen to review, and this time we need a 60% approval of the merger from the elected officials in the county. 3 of the elected officials, the mayor of Chardon, Burton, and South Russell, have submitted their letters to the state indicating their approval of the merger. And so we're asking for your support also in that merger.
I wonder, quick question,
Sure.
as I was wrapping my head around this over the last week or so, it seems like we were the last ones to be made aware of this, that there was an
No,
effort.
all of them were, all the packets were distributed at the same time to the agencies.
well,
To the mayors and to
okay,
yourselves.
okay,
Whether or not they got opened at a particular time,
okay.
okay? But
Yeah.
all of the packets,
Yeah.
packets went out at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
Could we have, is it possible to have that in writing that they will have, 2 employees from Geauga County and have an office in Geauga County?
We will,
I mean, is that-
this is one of the things, we don't have that in writing. This would be part of their board and the transition committee, which would be made up of either 4 or 5 members from each agency going over items for discussion that, again, they have tentatively approved as a board that we would have retention on their board, an office in Geauga County. But until they have the approval to move on those things, that they know that they're going to get support from elected officials here in Geauga County, they really can't, and I can understand why not, submit in writing that this is going to definitely happen, because they might, again, through our legal representation, which will be on that board, and their legal representation, getting together and talking and saying, this would be better if we did it this way as opposed to that way. So, We do have a nod that yes, we will have this. She, excuse me, has looked into retaining this office space here since our lease will be up at the end of this year. She has indicated that this office space would be ideal. She has had discussion with people down at the allotment, Sugar Falls Park, to come in there like we do now, a couple of times a month, to evaluate their needs. And then she would also like to, continue the Middlefield thoughts that we had, having a monthly meeting in Middlefield that they service clients. One of the things that they are able to do because they have the increased staff and the ability to send people off working on grant applications and so on, they perform home visits in Lake County, which Geauga County would really benefit by, especially with the senior population. We would have the staff to be able to do that type of thing. This is one of the things that, not, I would say, swayed us, but we found to be something that we would probably, at this stage, and quite a ways down the road, be able to ever do. So, do you have any other questions? We did some financials to you.
I think that my position on this is that I don't think I'm going to support, the letter to approve this. I just, I've negotiated a lot of deals in my life, and this just doesn't have that warm feeling. And I just think that there's a bigger possibility of money grab by Lake County that I think that, there's some possibly, good that's been done with this program within our county. But I just think that we need to kind of throttle back on this right now and really look at the whole picture. I don't feel that I was not impressed, to be quite honest with you, with the representative that was here from Lake County. I asked a number of questions with very, very bad answers, almost no answers. And if I was coming to present to receive the dollars that they're looking to get with the potential, and I think that their prize is not the $70,000 or $72,000. I think that their eye is on the prize to get the HEAP funds also. And I think that it's just a situation that we're potentially putting ourselves in a situation where if they have the influence with the state to be able to negotiate something above and beyond that, it's just we're putting ourselves at risk to potentially lose more. And I just think that it just doesn't. I just was not. I didn't feel good about it when they left, and when she was here answering some of the questions. I didn't feel good about when I asked her about retaining the office. There was basically just kind of a roll of the eyes, like I'm not really into feel good statements. I want true vocal commitment and then in writing. And I just don't think that we're a very small drop in this bucket of money that they have, and I just think that their eye is to basically get their hands around the rest of it that they can. And I just don't feel comfortable with Lake County trying to do something in Geauga. And in another situation too, these programs are good and these programs are bad. And I'm going to tell you, I just had an experience 2 weeks ago to learn that, like in this program here, somebody was basically able to just sign a form to basically get rent assistance to pay like a month's rent for somebody because of the fact that there were hard times or whatever leading up to it to be able to make them get that coverage. I can tell you personally that it's frustrating when funds like that are sent out to people that are really not even helping themselves, but choose to not want to work, to just choose to just take advantage of these programs. And I have personal knowledge of a situation that took place where funds were distributed in this specific scenario where the reality is there was no desire to want to get a job. There was no desire to want to do better. And at the end of the day, people always say, well, this is free money that's coming from the state. There's no such thing as free money. Somebody is paying the price. We're paying it on our taxes, you're paying it on your taxes, he's paying it on his taxes. Everybody's paying. This money doesn't just magically appear in the state's budgets. It's coming from somebody, and we're all paying that. But it's a situation, there's gotta be accountability. And it's like, I get it, you guys are trying to do the right thing, no doubt about it. But there's a lot of people that will take until, as long as they can get it, they'll take it. And I'll be honest with you, I've been a fighter my whole life to pursue the dream of, free enterprise and success. And I think that everybody should be entitled to do the same. And at the end of the day, I feel that everybody should carry their weight. And listen, there's people that probably medically or situations happen, but I know this situation that just took place within the last 2 weeks that really turned my stomach to say, never, I would support this, because I would never commit those dollars when it's just freely dispersed out there in a situation of just a request. And I'm not happy about it, and I'm not going to support it.
Well, these funds that you are indicating, those funds are earmarked for Geauga County.
Right.
They cannot be spent anyplace else except in Geauga County toward Geauga County residents. I feel Ms. Dodson has the ability to screen candidates and applicants a lot more efficiently than we can do right now because of the limited amount of staff that we do have and the hours that we can afford to have that staff in position.
It just is, the amount is such a small amount.
It is a very small amount.
It's such a small amount, and the reality is that...
And the problem is that small amount becomes even smaller because we have the overhead that we're trying to bring
I get
down
that.
in
But
order
sometimes,
to keep more money going to the actual individuals in the county.
I do, I understand that. But sometimes you just gotta look at what, sometimes you just have to get to a point to say, let's just kill this project and be done with it, because how much money are we gonna put into something for that small a return? It's like...
I don't understand that statement right now.
Well, I mean, the amount that it costs of what it really, of what the benefit is, sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what we're trying to bring down, that cost.
But they're still going to pull the same amount of administrative out of that fee to put within their operation.
Well, they're only allowed to pull 6%, and that is our problem right now, is we can't keep that required amount. In order for us to keep that required amount, Bob would have to work an hour and a half a week.
Right.
Which...
But that's what I mean, it's...
So she can leverage that administrative amount among the other people that she has employed through other grants and funding sources that she has, her donations and so on. And so this will allow her to spread those
let me ask you a
administrative
question.
costs over a larger area.
So 6%, and the total is what? It's about 70,000 a year.
140, isn't it?
That's a 2-year period.
No, 275 over 2 years. So about
142 a year.
Okay, so 6% is going to be around $16,000. So do you feel that would you take $16,000 for your organization to add on all of that amount of labor for $16,000 a year, whatever 6% of 275,000 is? If it doesn't, it just doesn't pass the test of smartness. How could you justify taking on $16,000 to your bottom line to work for 2 years to manage a project and to take on all of that work for $16,000? There's got to be something else, another string attached to this, because it just doesn't pass the smell test.
I can't
I mean, listen,
really-
this is simple business.
Well,
And then this is what
in
makes
this
me a little bit
respect,
nervous, to be
she's-
quite honest with you. No disrespect to you, but you're a board member with a financial background or whatever. This is real simple. A plus B equals C. And if you look at the numbers, okay, you're talking about them getting a total of about $16,000. I could figure out what the exact amount,
Whatever.
but let's say it's $16,000 for sake of the conversation. For 2 years, you're going to service Geauga County with these funds. How are you going to pay somebody $16,000 for
$16,000
2 years
is-
out of that fund?
Is an administrative.
Right.
Please
So,
explain that, Bob.
so the rest of it
Could
goes to
Bob-
Geauga, correct? Take
No,
the
no, no,
16,000
no, not
out of
16.
that.
There are still some operating expenses which you are allowed to take, which of course would be your rent.
Okay,
Okay.
so the rent they can't, that's
No, that's
basically.
that
the-
comes
the-
out of that.
Right, the rent
Okay.
is a liability. So,
Correct.
so if you looked at that, that's a liability on top of it. So
Mhm.
that's, but whether they would have it here or somewhere else. But what I'm saying to you is what are they actually getting to provide those services for 2 years? Like, how are they gonna man this with that small amount? I mean, I'm not trying to be argumentative here. I'm just trying to be sensible.
The grant
Bob.
does allow for the program manager
Sure.
and some of the direct care staff to be put onto the operating side of the ledger, not the
administrative is-
administrative side. But for, in our case, the
Okay,
administrative side
so what are
is
those
your-
numbers? Because this is what I'm asking you. Don't tell us 6% for administration if it's not 6% administration. If it's 50% administration, I could respect that more because now you're saying they're getting $125,000 to be able to justify working for 2 years.
Okay, Bob has the.
Well, this is our 2018 draft
Right.
audit, so it's almost complete, but I have at least a summary of the 2018 expenses, and it does break down the program and administrative in total. And if you look at the salaries and payroll of just myself, and it's about, over the year, it was $21,000. And then you have office, rent, depreciation, you have professional fees for our payroll and our bookkeeper, audit, the accountants, that's about $8,000. So when you add it all up, it came at about $48,000, and we spent about $193,000. So it's roughly about 20% for all administrative costs. And so what they're saying is it has to be 6, and there's just no way for us to get under 6.
Has it always been 6? The
That's
criteria from the
federal
state?
Requirement.
Requirement.
Federal requirement.
Right.
And,
And we've never met it, or have we met it?
no, not,
No, we have gotten exceptions over the years as
Right.
we are
We've gotten
trying to.
waivers.
Bob,
yeah.
let me just
And-
go back and get some background history. So this was kind of your brainchild. You left JFS and went and started this, is that correct?
No.
Well, no,
No?
I didn't leave JFS, I retired.
Retired, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
But this was kind of your idea, is to get this one grant and kind of grow from there? Was that the idea?
No, the,
No, it wasn't my idea, but somebody
Oh, okay.
said, hey, you're retired, maybe you can help
Okay.
out.
No, and I
this
appreciate
agency,"
the-
Because
I
Job and
appreciate this.
Family Services is where this was housed and this was run.
Yeah,
And to get to your point, Ralph, some of the programs that they were running, we didn't support, and this board did not support, and we actually terminated. The rent subsidy and assistance is the last program that's gonna go away. And the only reason why we're still doing that is because there was a large carryover money that was not being used because they were not spending it. And so all rent subsidy and all rent assistance is gonna go away at the end of this year. We're not doing that anymore. I agree with you. There are people who are getting rent assistance who are not helping themselves. They're already in arrears for months, and they're just looking for the handout. We wanna stop that. And so that program is gonna go away. And we really wanna focus on the transportation programs that we think the people who are working and are trying to help themselves come up with a hard, situation where their car breaks down. So, just to address that point, I agree with you, and wholeheartedly, we want to stop doing any programs that somebody's not.
and I just want to clarify that it's not Lake County. This is a nonprofit that's based in Lake County, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it's not
They
this
are
is not a
private-
county.
They're private.
501c3.
So this has nothing to do with Lake County
Yeah, it's
at
not,
all.
it's not
Right.
public at all.
So, you know, this 501c3, I mean, I'm sure, I've never heard of them until last week, but I'm sure they're, you know, very capable and respectable and do a great job. But my, and I have to kind of agree with Ralph here, my biggest concern is giving up local control here. I just feel like, you know, they're promising us board seats and representation. Well, to what extent? I mean, are we gonna be the majority?
Oh, no.
No. So, and then I think some of the other things I'm a little concerned about is, and I brought it up last time, is some of the future potential strings attached. I think what this is getting a foothold into Geauga County by this nonprofit, and not in a bad way, but I think they see this as an opportunity to expand and grow, which maybe is not a bad thing, but I would much rather see us continue to find a different avenue. Not every balloon gets off the air, or gets up in the air. Maybe this one, we you know, like Ralph said, let it die and think about this and come back and let's get this under the umbrella of the county in some other way. And I understand
Well, the
there's some,
problem is
I understand that
there are requirements
there's
of this
requirement.
grant.
I get it,
This
I
grant
get
is
it.
the only thing.
But, you know, I would challenge the state that I don't think they're gonna come ripping this out of your hands tomorrow, are they? I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
The statute says 2/3 of the elected officials have to approve it.
Well,
And so.
I can tell you, I'm
that
not
means
gonna
there's
approve it.
5
so-
mayors, and you count as
Yeah.
one, so there's 6.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I guess we're the
Yes.
one that's probably
And so
not gonna do it.
2/3, so you need 4 of the 6.
Right.
Well, we are an independent nonprofit. Lake County is an independent nonprofit. As I indicated to you in the packet that you had before, out of the 88 counties in Ohio, or 82, I think it's 88, 2/3 of them are merged community
Thank you.
action
Yeah.
agencies because of just being able to provide more services, leveraging the funds that they get within the counties. And again, those funds which
And
are
what-
federally designated.
So
must
what
be
will
spent.
your role be if we went to
Right.
Lake County tomorrow, what would your role be?
My role tomorrow, I could possibly be on the transition committee, and I could possibly be on that board. I'm not saying that that will happen, because we have quite a few people on our current board who have expressed interest in working with
And what
Lake
about
County.
Bob?
Bob,
Well, there's no guarantee that their board would
hire Bob.
hire any of our staff. And again, we're in a
Has there been
position.
any
We have
discussion?
discussions that the current staff would remain for at least a period, after the first of the year, which is when our funding would end.
Could we-
Remain for a minimum of at least.
What about Ravenwood?
90
If you
days.
approach Ravenwood, could you put it under Ravenwood's, I mean, they're a 501c3 and they could set up a potential board
I
and,
guess any 501c3 could technically
yeah.
take on.
I mean,
and
Ravenwood, I'd be a
and
little more comfortable
implement
with.
this
They're here
grant.
in Geauga County and,
I know there's
Yeah.
someone in the audience who has tried to run this grant
yeah.
from a big agency, Job and Family Services, Rex Probst, and he can tell you
Mhm.
it's very onerous to do all the compliance with the new
The
regulations.
history with this grant is, for this county, it was not a large grant.
No, it's not.
So the Fed said it had to go to a community action agency. So for Geauga County, there wasn't enough funding to set up an actual agency with a building and employees and all of that. They formed a community action board, which then contracted with Job and Family Services to run the programs, to distribute the funds. And that was done for many years. I believe that started sometime in the early 1980s. It made the best use of the funds by Job and Family Services doing the majority of the administrative work
I like that.
and using the majority of the block grant funds to assist the community. And yes, rent assistance was part of that, and I, just as a person who works with assistance programs, I have to mention, some people can't work. Elderly, disabled, whatever. This was one of the only programs that they could get assistance if they fell behind in rent or utilities or things, but that's a side note. I
Right.
just had to say
Right.
that. Then, just a few years ago, the feds made some changes in the guidelines, or what they needed to require of the community action agencies to run this. And as a board-only community action agency, Geauga County fell short. So they pushed the board to start its own agency. That's when Bob got involved. And the grant was taken, well, they no longer contracted with Job and Family Services to administer the funds. They took it upon themselves, and that's where they ran into problems.
I mean, can't
You
we,
can't run an agency on 6%.
why couldn't we go back to that?
They won't allow it.
Who won't allow it?
They won't allow Job and Family Services to administer.
Who, the
grant.
state won't?
The state and the feds will not.
See, I don't know, I've heard
I don't know
conflict to
if
that.
that's- is
I've
that
heard-
true, that
I don't know,
they
is that
cannot
new?
contract out
Is that
the work?
new?
No, they will, that arrangement was not to their liking at 4 years ago.
I've heard conflicting stories to
we had
both, so,
We had to set up an independent
yeah.
agency.
I think we
had
did
to
set it up,
apply
I
for a
think,
because they
501c3.
want us to
We had to
merge
reapply
with
for a
another county.
501c3.
What was that?
I think it's not to their liking, because they would prefer we merge with another county. It's
Right.
one less community action agency
Sure.
they have to deal with.
Right.
So I don't know that
I mean, you know,
necessarily
Yeah.
can't be done,
I
if
haven't
they don't want to.
At this
Right.
point, I think we indicated in the last letter we sent to you, the grant for this coming year will need to be applied for by the end of October. If no community agency has been designated.
well, we've
by-
got one now. I mean,
No,
apply.
they will not allow us because of the compliance issues.
Yeah.
They will
I'd
not
like to
allow
see
us
the state
apply.
take it back. I challenge them to take it back then. Let's see them take it back.
That will be, that is something that we have to fill with compliance. They will not allow Geauga Community Action, our agency, to apply for that grant. If someone is to
I
apply
would
for
like-
that grant, they will have to go through the.
I'll make you a handshake deal. I'll work with you both and your board in trying to find a way to keep this in Geauga County and under, whether it's JFS or whether it's some other organization, but I would much rather see us
This is where we
administer.
were 4 years ago with, with Skip. Okay, Skip felt that we could handle this. Basically, what has come to pass with all the regulations and things that we need to follow, we have discovered that over the 4 years, this is almost an impossible task for us to do with the amount of the grant, to follow all the compliance things that need to be followed with the grant and state requirements and federal requirements. After 4 years of pretty much, busting our backsides trying
And I
to get this
appreciate it.
done.
I appreciate it.
We have come to conclusion that in order to better serve the residents of Geauga County, to make that money more accessible to them, and again, increase the amount of that money that would be accessible to them, that it's in the best interests of this agency and the county to merge with Lake County.
My fear is,
And I do not feel that we would not have 2/3 of the agencies in the state of Ohio functioning as merged agencies
Right.
if this did not work.
well, it's
Okay?
not about it
And
working.
And I don't really feel that, as your fear with the HEAP grant and so on being removed, I
Yeah.
believe,
We may be-
excuse me, that Craig had contacted the state after a meeting, and Rex can verify one way or the other, and the state indicated that
But
they
you
had
do
no
understand-
intention at that point of removing.
You do
the
understand
grant
you're
from
giving
Geauga
up
County.
all of your local control. You're giving
No, we're
up
not
your
giving up
control.
local
Yeah.
control.
No, who's your, but where's this
We will have
agreement?
representation on that board, and I believe it's more than proportionate to the amount that we will be bringing.
Oh, so they've
to
made
that
you
board.
guarantees on the board
Absolutely,
proportionate?
we have to have representation.
So we haven't heard that.
We told you that. We
What-
told you
what's
that
our
the last time,
proportion?
that we have
What's our
to have
proportion?
representation on that.
What is our
We
proportion?
have to have at least one member from the public, private, and low-income sector. They are proposing that we will have two from
Mm-hmm.
each of those sectors. So we will have 1/3 of their board.
And I never understood that, so you're gonna have a client as part of that board? I mean,
It
that's
could
like
possi-
basically
no,
putting a
it could-
prison,
wait a minute,
putting
no,
a,
may
you
I explain? The low income can be an actual low income individual, or it can be a representative.
So
of
what do you
the
think their
low-income- a
decisions are gonna
represent-
constantly be? More, right?
More what?
To get more, to take more money. I mean,
Take more
let's.
money
let's-
from where?
If you put if.
The only thing they're going to have right now is the community services block grant. This is what they will be put into the pile, okay?
And there'll be no other grants coming along with
No.
this? No other services?
Carrie is researching now, because the woman is absolutely dedicated to what she's doing,
Mhm.
researching, expanding our capabilities to receive more grants for Geauga County, because she will file those grants as Geauga County or
So-
as Lake County.
Who's?
Those would be,
But this is
So
what I'm
she's-
seeing.
yeah,
So
that's
she's
my
looking
concern.
for more grants, for
That's
more
my
money.
concern.
for more money.
For more money, but it's not more money just, and listen, I'm totally understanding you. There, more grants you have, the more money you have for, and it's like the old cliche, you know, well, we're gonna get this grant so we can help this person, we can help this person. The reality is this, is they're motivated to go after the grants because every grant that they get, they're gonna have a certain amount of holdback for
Correct.
their own organization, and the more money that they can get, the more money obviously they can qualify for themselves. And I don't, you know, totally, you know, disenfranchise them for doing that. It's like any business. The more you build your business, the more you make.
Right.
The reality is this, is why aren't we doing this on our side of things? To go after more grants and more funding and doing this other stuff. What is it that, what's the golden key that they have that we don't have? Staff. But
And
this
the
is.
ability to have pay staff.
Okay, but this is where I'm saying that it's almost like, I hate to say it, but like this thing was never able to really survive from its inception.
Right.
Right, Bob?
From the jump, it wasn't.
Yeah,
From the jump, we were,
Right.
we were basically upside down from the minute it started.
Right, because the state indicated that.
But let me
4 or
ask
5
you a
years ago,
question.
They would not
Let
allow.
me just say, the
How do
only-
you get
the only
into a
hope-
deal,
I'm sorry.
how do you do a deal? It would be like me basically trying to, you know, buy this building and know that it's gonna cost me $5,000 a month to buy this building, but I'm only bringing in 4,000, knowing that eventually, you know, the county's gonna be foreclosing on me because I can't afford to do it. So why would I ever do this? Why would I ever get into that deal?
The way it was approached to me, and this was from Joni Stusik, who was one of our board members, and the way it could have worked if the state would have allowed it, but they didn't. I was working as an independent contractor out of my house, and I was basically working at 6%.
Okay.
And I didn't have to have all the bookkeeping and the accounting and all that. I was doing that myself out of my home. And they said you could not operate out of your home. You have to have a footprint in the community, a place of business, a place where, you know, the customers can come to you. And once that happened, then I had to hire somebody to be there. I couldn't be there, you know, every day, so then I had to hire staff. And that's when we had to have an employee relationship with the board, so they had to hire me as an employee. And we had to have employees, and then we had to have payroll, and we had to have accountants.
Yeah.
And you could see that.
So it just became
it
cost
just-
prohibitive.
It's a small business not being able to
Yeah.
thrive with the money
So what
available
happens
to-
is in the real world, you fold the business.
Well, that's the reason why I don't wanna keep going
And that's
back
why
to
we
the
don't
heat
wanna do
But
it.
that's
grant.
what
We
I'm
don't
s-
wanna fold the grant.
But
We don't
but
wanna
listen,
give
if
the
it's
grant
not
up.
successful, you close it down.
Right.
Yes, and.
You close it down, and I have
No,
no
again,
problem
we don't wanna
telling
give
you.
up the
It
grant.
just,
The grant will
The-
still
but-
come to Geauga County if someone else
Yeah,
applies
those
for it.
federal funds will still
Those-
be earmarked
They will still
for
be
Geauga
earmarked.
you know
County.
something, maybe we could get them in someplace else.
That's
But
what
you know
it is.
something, if a business is
The
not
community
working, you need to
services
close
grant.
it down.
Okay, well, this is a
Right,
grant.
right.
Okay, then we will, what would happen here now, okay, without support, the grant would not be allowed to be applied for because there would not have been the correct steps in place in time to apply for the grant for the following year. Okay, so that grant would not be awarded to Geauga County at all. So that would be $140,000.
Right.
That would not be coming to Geauga County at all. If another agency could be earmarked to apply for that grant, they would have to go through the process that we're going through right now, which is to basically secure support from 60% of the elected officials,
Yeah.
2/3 of the elected officials in the county, have a public hearing, which is what will happen after, if we achieve the 2/3 support. The state would hold a public hearing where anyone could offer input as to why or why not this should happen. Okay? And then the determination at that point would be to award the grant to an agency which meets all of the criteria that the grant requires. So right now, Lifeline of Lake County meets all of those criteria that the state requires, that the federal government requires. They are totally in compliant, and they have been in compliant for a long time.
And their big thing is the HEAP grant. That is their, I'm looking at their website, this is their number one.
Source of income, yes, it's a big,
That's
it's a
number
big piece
one.
of income.
So what do you think's next? What do you think's next after this grant in Geauga County? Which one do you think they're gonna try and secure next?
But again, the heat grant
Rex, do you
functions,
feel that
they-
there's a
the-
chance that
the-
they would get the HEAP grant?
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, the heat grant, the grant itself is earmarked for Geauga County residents, correct, Rex?
Yes.
There's an
Again,
administrative
like-
grant that goes with that heat grant, which of course is a small grant
If they were
compared to the
to try
overall
and,
budget.
if they were to run the HEAP grant in Geauga County, they would definitely have to have a presence here.
Yes.
Because people are required to come into the office to apply for some of the HEAP programs.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's Job and Family Services. We are the grantee for the Home Energy Assistance Program.
Right.
That is totally different than the Community Services Block Grant.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Different requirements and all of that.
But I'm just saying Lifeline,
Right,
Lake
and
County.
they get a huge allocation for HEAP.
Right,
So
that's their number
Because of
one
the proportion of low-income families that would qualify for it is
Correct.
greater
in Lake.
in Lake County.
Yeah.
Now, as Job and Family Services, we are proud of having the grant and doing it well. We make home visits for people for HEAP assistance. We would not just willingly give that up.
No.
Because we know we are here to serve the community.
But let me ask you something,
I'm
Rex.
more comfortable with JFS doing that.
Why couldn't Bob run this program out of JFS?
They did for
Because
many years.
They did,
But why couldn't they do that with their nonprofit and have the
We,
ancillary staff of JFS
They would not.
to give
we
them
were
that?
not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
The
says,
state said we could not do that, and that's where this all
because it's not a
started hitting
board.
the fan, correct, hitting the fan 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And that's
Because
when
it's not
the
a-
state would not allow it to happen. They
Because it's a
came in,
501c3.
They looked at our operating procedures. At that point, the board that we had looked at the fact that we had an exorbitant amount of carryover. We had, how much was it, 400,000? $490,000 had not been spent.
Why?
That is, again, I had just gotten
Oh,
on board at that point, so I do not know the reason for why this money was not spent.
Why do you
That,
think
of
it
course,
was that,
said- Bob?
Well, I think sometimes the qualifications maybe, or the criteria,
There wasn't the
for
expansive,
eligibility.
there wasn't the program assigned to community action. Community action was basically writing checks to other organizations, be it JFS, be it whatever, but they were just writing checks to other organizations. And I
No,
don't, they did not
I don't-
understand,
I
they
don't-
did not understand the purpose of a community action agency.
I don't think I agree with that statement, but
Well,
Yeah,
under the heading
yeah.
of, we can take a look at.
So let me
the-
ask you something, how much money do we have in there right now?
There is probably a balance of about $70,000 left of the 18-19 grant.
Which will
My,
be gone
my,
by the end of the year.
And
my
what would
whole
you use that
focus
for?
was to spend the money to help people.
with what though, specifically? Like fix their car or put gas in
Well,
their
like
car
I
or
said,
what?
some of the programs that we had in the past, we were carrying over money to continue some of those, and then we phased them out.
Mhm.
And the rent subsidy is the last one that's. is
So
gonna
you have
end.
discretion how to spend that?
The board.
The board does?
Well, that's the beauty of having the board decide the programs for the county based on the needs assessments that we do, and we ask other agencies. And every agency we've asked said transportation assistance is one of our really biggest needs, so we wanted to focus on that. We didn't want to duplicate services, we didn't want to compete, we just wanted to find a little niche.
So
And that
Bob,
was
can
the
you
little
explain
niche.
transportation, what is that? What, like, give me an example, like, what would you pay, what would you be doing money for?
Well, car repair is our big one.
Okay.
So up to $1,000 for a car repair.
And what do they have to do to qualify for that?
Well, you have to be 125% or below the poverty level. And working or seeking employment, that was one of the big goals, is that we want to make sure that people are not just getting a handout to help themselves do other things. We want them to be
mean,
They are-
anybody
they are
can-
brought to-
working and
they are
supporting
brought
themselves.
to us by another community service agency, be it the Metropolitan Housing Association, agency.
So anybody could be
United
trying to
Way.
look for a job. I mean, I mean,
Well, again, they are qualified
You
by,
have to be a resident for 6 months of Geauga County. I mean, getting to your point, why wasn't the money being spent? Rex, you might be able to help out here, but if you put a lot of criteria for the eligibility and raise the bar pretty high, very few people will get over it.
I mean, then there maybe isn't a need for Geauga.
If you have to be a resident for a year, or you have to be working for 9 months to a year, if you have, but I'm saying, that's how you
How
don't
about the
spend the money.
payback part of this?
The
How about
payback.
payback?
well, we did submit in that packet some letters of support from people who had received the services and how they were, in the case of one young lady, she was able to get her daughter back because she.
Right, and listen, I'm not,
We did provide that in there.
listen, I
You go on
love
a
the
case
happy
basis,
stories,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, we need to look at the dollars and cents side of this too, you know? I mean, let's take the emotional, portion of this out.
Sure, are these people
because
working?
At the end of the
This
day
is-
is
yeah.
how about holding some accountability? Let's be
Well,
honest
they
here.
do- we do, again, require that they.
I mean, how about paying
So-
back? Okay, you got back on your feet, pay us back.
Again, that requires staff, it requires the program
But it should be a
development.
part of your deal of contractually going to them and saying, we'll give you this, but you give it back. I cannot stand free stuff, because I paid for that, I paid to give them that money. Everyone here
And
paid.
one of the things we were working on was a car purchase program where the buy-in would come from the client. Again, that there would be the payback where they would participate in the deposit. The credit bureau would take payment out of their paycheck, so on and so forth. We have been trying to put something like that together. Again, but we keep getting stuck because of state requirements in other areas that we just can't check off.
I mean, I don't know.
I can show you pages and pages
I
and
would,
pages of
I would love
programs
to
that we-
support you too, because don't take this the wrong way, the way we're responding to you right
Right.
now, because we do appreciate the work both of you
Yeah,
are
I do
doing.
too.
And I would much rather you come in here saying, hey, commissioners, how can we figure out the fight and keep this thing in Geauga County? Will you back us on this? Will you help us figure this out? But I don't really appreciate that you kind of did the round robin with all these other elected officials, patted them up,
Well,
got
like I
them
said, this
teed up.
happened-
Hold on, teed them up, and then you come to us last to knock down the final pin.
Yeah, did we-
I would much rather figure out a way, and if that means we challenge the state and they say they're not gonna fund us for a year, well then so be it, Put a dart in it and we'll grow, we'll start from scratch and build this thing right.
And to add to what Tim is saying, here's the problem also that I have with this, is that I feel slighted because a lot of these other elected officials really don't, and it's no offense to them and it's not a shot at them, but, South Russell, really? What's the median income in South Russell? How many people in South Russell are probably qualifying for programs?
There's nobody
Russell doesn't
qualified for
even-
a program in South Russell. I'm a resident there.
So.
And I go to the meetings.
So do you get my point?
Absolutely.
So they're making a decision on this when they really don't have
They make some bad
representation.
decisions, Ralph.
And at the end of the day, we've got these people that really, I'm not saying that we have a better grasp on things as county commissioners, but we're dealing with the county issues as a whole all the time.
JFS.
We have JFS that is directly
Every day.
under our hiring authority, that we deal with this all the time. So we've got a little more ground. I mean, Bob's office right next door, it's right here. So we have a little bit more of a feel that I would have appreciated a roundtable possibly with everybody to say, let's kind of really put the pros and the cons on this to present. Like with Lake County, this nonprofit out of Lake County, did they present to each one of these towns? Because I talked to a couple of people that lady never really presented to them. It was more, I don't know if it was yourself or
Somebody from Lake Geauga Recovery too, Melanie.
Last one.
I wasn't sure why she was.
She's on our board.
Board, okay, okay.
She's
So-
on our
Makes
board. We
sense.
have quite
Yeah.
a few.
You know, but they never really got the chance to ask the questions
did-
to Lake County nonprofit like we did. And I here's the thing is, I think everybody in this county, you know, and you guys for sure want to make good decisions. But I think sometimes you have to ask the hard question. And you gotta really look at the circumstances and say, are we making the right choice? And the reality of it is before we hand this thing off to somebody, I think we basically look at what other means do we have to be able to support this. And if it means killing this thing for a year to basically try to put our ducks in a row to get this back together, why don't we try to put our heads together? You know, Rex, it sounds like you have a lot of history and knowledge in this. Bob has got a ton of knowledge. You were with JFS for a career, and your board members. Why don't we try to revisit this? Do you feel that, Rex, let me ask you, do you feel that we could try to save this within this county?
Well, I have an observation and a concern. The observation is the state has not been cooperative in working with the Geauga Community Action Agency, because it would just be easier for them to have one less community action agency to deal with. It'd be easier for them to merge these funds into a larger, more well-established community action agency and not have to deal with Geauga County. My concern is, yes, these funds have to be used for Geauga County residents. Yes, we have to have representation from Geauga County on their board, but I would rather see assurances from Lifeline on what types of programs they're going to do in Geauga County. Because my concern is, they'll say something like, well, we have a budget management class, and up until now it's been open to Lake County residents, but we'll open it up to Geauga County residents. You have to come to Painesville to take the class, but it's open, and they'll just funnel some of the Geauga County funds into that, whether a Geauga County resident participates or not. That's my concern. I would feel much better if they would say, we plan on doing X, Y, and Z in Geauga County for Geauga County residents before we just hand off the funds to them.
Yeah.
I
think that's
Lifeline is a great agency. Don't get me wrong.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been operating for many years. They've got great successful programs. But just to say, yeah, we'll take your funds, we'll take care of Geauga County, I'm a little uncomfortable with
Well,
that.
and I was uncomfortable when I asked her about maintaining the office, and it was basically like
They can't afford that on what,
pie in the
what
sky.
they're getting
answer
from
yes.
this grant.
You know.
Yeah, they can't afford it.
Right.
They can't afford it from what from the additional funds
I
they'll
mean,
get
why
with
can't
this
we
grant.
not afford it, but they can?
Right.
I mean,
So
yeah.
in your own mindset, then why would they want this responsibility?
Because they want the heat.
Because they will take those funds, supplement programs that they're already doing, saying they'll open them up to Geauga County residents. But my concern is they won't make a real attempt to do what's best for the Geauga County residents. That's my concern.
Right.
They could totally come down here and do something. But I would just want to have something in writing or see something agreed upon before.
A little more concrete, yeah, I agree. I mean,
that's just my concern.
And I would feel a whole lot more comfortable with that too, and that was my concern from the beginning, because every time I would ask her a question, it was just kind of like no solid answer.
I don't think they really know.
Right.
At this point.
But, so basically, it's like, let's get the money and then we'll figure it out. Similar to this program.
Yeah,
You know, we'll get the money and then we'll figure it out. Well, you gotta have a plan, you know? If you, you know, how's the old saying? If you fail to plan, you'll plan to fail. It's the way that this is. And this is exactly why we're here right now, you know? And I don't wanna get in a situation where, like you said, if they're putting this into a program that's basically gonna say, we're gonna sponsor this class, or we're gonna sponsor this, those dollars really could go away real fast and say, well, we've included Geauga to come to this class, and what we did is basically subsidized all their stuff. It just, at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And if we had and what we've been doing probably here more is we've really had the outreach to need. Those dollars really have gone into need for the residents here of this county. Whereas what you're basically saying, and you bring up some valid points, it could be just programs that they, you know, feel good stuff. that they probably are required to do, that we're gonna be footing the bill for, that at the end of the day, really, how many of our residents are gonna benefit from this?
And listen,
Not
we're
much.
only one vote out of 6, so you may go ahead and go get your other 5 votes. But, you know, from the county's position standpoint, we're the ones actually with their sleeves rolled up in it. You know, I don't know if the municipalities are so much, okay?
Right.
But sure, they'd be happy. You come and say, hey, we're gonna throw some free money and throw around, and they're gonna say, okay, great. So where do we sign up? You know, they don't care who's administering it.
Yeah.
But I think from the standpoint of our Job and Family Services, from the county's standpoint, we would much rather see that under the umbrella of Geauga
The
County.
problem is,
Yeah.
it's something somewhere.
Well, let's
that we
figure it out.
find-
Yeah.
Well, we've had 4 years, we've had a commissioner on our board during those 4 years,
Yeah.
okay? And we still were unable to make the headway
I
we
mean,
need to make.
I would almost go a step
And we had a
further.
like I said, we did have a commissioner on the board. We had
Yeah.
someone from the commissioner's office on the board during that time. We still were unable to move to the right direction to get additional funding into the agency that we could, so we could maintain something of a reasonable size.
You know, I'd almost go
We were
a different
handcuffed.
direction and say that something along the lines, like, I would, I would rather have control over administering, and maybe it's even less money, but at least we had control. If that money came from, let's say we didn't have that grant, that specific grant, but we use, different sources, I'm just thinking
Well,
outside.
it's just,
But at least we could administer it and put the money to where it really is effective. I'd rather have that position than just be, now we're along for the ride.
well,
fixing,
again, it's not that this is something new for Geauga County. Again, Ashtabula County does home weatherization for Geauga County.
Mhm.
Because we don't have the ability, nor do I think that they even want to be bothered getting into it, nor do we want to bother getting into it because of the criteria that you have to follow.
Don't we do home weatherization? I thought we did that.
We used to.
Job-
Yeah,
they
Job and
still
Family
do-
Services used to have that program, and
Yeah.
it then merged with Ashtabula County, and I really don't know the history of that.
Okay.
It kind of happened before my involvement.
I mean, the reality is, if you listen to all this stuff, it's all a discombobulated mess, because every one of these funds takes how much more red tape and how much more bureaucracy
Exactly
and
right.
dollars to run. It's a
Exactly
joke,
right.
I mean, let's face it, this heap, this weatherization, and that's probably just scratching the surface of all this other
Yeah.
stuff. It's a joke.
And I think it's meant.
You wonder why we're going backwards in
Right.
this world? Right there.
But I think it's meant to, be effective, and I think everyone's got their best intentions, but then it's,
Yeah.
but it's, the way it's implemented is not, government doesn't solve the problems always in the best way, but.
But
I
back in
think
the
the
day when they all
handwriting is on the
merged,
wall as far as these block grant funds. The state has not been cooperative. They're not going to be cooperative.
I kinda don't blame them.
And no offense to the commissioners, but the
Amen.
commissioners don't make this decision. We've been told that.
Yeah.
If they decide to move the funds, they will move the funds. That's why I would say, please ask for some assurances on how these monies will benefit Geauga County residents, because that's my biggest concern. Why does Lake County want these funds? They're not.
This is a drop in the
This is not a
bucket.
profit-making
No.
proposal
This is a
for
drop in
them.
the bucket
They want these funds
for them.
to supplement current programming, basically.
so if you look at
So,
the
I
history,
100%.
all three of the programs
100%.
were at Job and Family Services now. Heating and weatherizations with Ashtabula. If the block grant goes to Lake County,
Mhm.
there's one more there that eventually, they're kind of fracturing the grants. But they should all be married and housed together. That's how they work.
Mhm.
All the grants and all the funding in one community action agency.
I
That's
don't
how
argue
it
with
works.
that. I don't argue with
Otherwise,
that.
it's impossible for
But-
a small agency to do it.
But I don't feel comfortable going to some outside of the county nonprofit that we don't know. I would much rather be with like Ralph said, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we doing it?
And the reason they all initially went to Job and Family Services or worked through Job and Family Services is because the allocations to Geauga County were so small that it was impossible to have a community action agency
I see.
run those programs. I mean, that,
It bears out.
when, look at the amount of funding Community Services Block Grant is allocated for Geauga County and compare that to Lake County.
No, I'm sure it's not even
Yeah,
in the same
it's
world.
not even close.
Yeah.
It's the same way with the heat funding.
Yeah.
I have
Oh, the
no
heat's
idea if Lake
huge. I was
County
just looking at it.
will want to come for heat funding.
But that'll be, that is
But,
the
yeah,
foothold
Lake
I'm
County's
talking about.
getting way more funding than we are after Geauga County.
But that'll be next.
Why they would want it, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not, again, they're not gonna make money off of it.
No, but this is, I mean, listen, I don't think these 501c3s, although they're a nonprofit, they're not in it to lose. I mean,
Right.
you know.
Right, they still have administrative.
Yeah, I mean,
earning
it's all about
potentials.
expanding and getting bigger and, you know, not just sitting there. I mean, so there's something in it. There's something in it for sure. I don't know, I know you guys are under the gun and a deadline, and I hate be put in this position where we couldn't have done this, you know, a year ago and really taken our time. But the way I see it as of today, without this representative from Lifeline here today
Like I said,
to
we-
give me some assurances, I'm not gonna approve this, so
And let me
we
just
can
say-
move for a vote.
At the end of December 2017, we
Yeah.
received a letter saying we were 100% compliance
In 17, yeah.
with all of the programmatic compliance issues and standards. The one thing we knew was our Achilles heel was the 6% administrative
Mhm.
cost. We were never going to get under that unless we procured or secured another grant that
Do you
had
think-
an administrative grant
Let me ask you,
attached to
just
it.
for like, you
So
could,
that was
I
my
probably know the
focus.
answer, but if you filed for this grant, just the way you are, do it again with the state, just file it, say, and let them take it from you. I mean, do you think that would happen?
They will.
Yeah, okay.
We only get reimbursed for our expense, so literally, we're gonna run out of money.
Mhm.
And whether they give us any more money, I don't know
Okay.
how we can go out.
And it's not even effective
spend
anyway.
money, we can't, we
I mean,
we
you're
don't
only
have,
putting
so
70 grand on the street.
We're gonna be out of business at the end of December.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens,
But you know what Ralph was just saying,
Will be the
what
state,
happens?
the state will go and find another agency.
Yeah,
They will pick the agency.
yeah. Okay, so then what we're doing here, what are you wasting our
I-
time for?
I still
If
don't
you know that.
understand the
Just want you guys to
statute.
know that this can happen and we can make it work, and if they feel that they've got support, they know they can come to you people and say, we would like to expand the transportation program that the Community Action Agency down here before had. Is it okay with you? Can we get your support to go out and talk to the businesses in Geauga County to contribute more funding to this program, da-da-da-da-da-da? But
I think
They need
we're
your-
talking
they
in
need your
circles
support.
here a little bit.
They need
I'm
your
not on the
support.
same page.
I just don't
Do it.
understand the 2/3 requirement in the statute of the elected officials to relinquish the control, to have it
no, they don't,
reassigned.
it doesn't relinquish the control of the grant. The 2/3 is just a support. The control will actually be relinquished at the public hearing.
Okay, well, my vote is no, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same.
I'll make a motion, vote no.
Second.
Commissioner Moore?
I abstain.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sorry,
Yeah, no, it was a good
again, I
discussion.
wish we could figure something out, you know, this
Yeah,
wasn't
we're-
like
we're-
last
we're-
minute.
we're hand-
But it sounds like it's a done deal, so I don't know what the
Well, like I said,
conversation.
it became a discussion for us back in July.
But it sounds like it's
Found out.
kind of a cooked turkey, right? We're done, right?
So,
Like-
so if we don't get the money, will it be dispersed amongst the rest of the state of Ohio?
No, just, they probably just don't have the bids.
I really don't.
He's never been here.
I don't think they've done this, it's making it so
Has he ever
Yeah,
been
this
here?
is
confusing.
the
There's
ground
no-
for everybody.
There's no blueprint here.
Give you
I don't know.
answers.
It's never
Yeah.
been done.
Skip was on the board when he,
Well, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I don't come as many as
you
you
guys
do.
never reached out to us to replace Skip off of your board when he
But
went
we
out as
know
a
we will be
commissioner.
doing something from the village.
No, Chrissy was on.
No, not from the
If there are, they're taking care of crime.
Okay, and then they
He's on the
removed
board.
Chrissy, and Mike was the only other representation on the board. So, Commissioner Dvorak actually had an interest of being on the board, but there was never an
Oh, I know.
application.
Yeah, we
Especially
were fighting with the
for
state
animal
compliance. We knew they were taking it away. I don't know that it mattered. But
No, thank you.
I appreciate the
I have very
Is there
little
everything
income,
you've done?
but I have some money.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
I mean, I appreciate your hard work. I appreciate your hard work. I do. I wish there was a way to
Sometimes I
keep
think this
it.
could, you know, open up their eyes.
How much money?
I wish you guys would
I
just,
think you gave him that.
I wish there was a way to figure it out.
And they're getting worse every year.
So that'll be
It's none of their
summarized in
business.
2018.
What you pointed out, let's say if a person is a millionaire and he needs his rent for the year, then he should get it.
It's gotta be much
Just
better.
So we can-
everybody gets money out of it. Everybody does.
No.
Sometimes you gotta put your
I'm
foot
not
down.
involved with these programs.
Okay, so Jerry, number 20. I have no idea.
I don't know, on Joanna's behalf, do I really want to have this right now?
Okay, Joanne
Next is to
Santilli.
promote Joanna Santilli to the.
This is a good positive thing. Yes.
Yes.
I make a motion, yes.
Yes.
But Auburn's perfect.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler? Commissioner Lund?
Yes, and I feel very comfortable with Joanne, and she's going to be an excellent, excellent director, I think.
Yep.
Yep. I'm excited to get her going.
And the next item is just to rescind the motion from our last meeting that we were going to set that Thursday evening meeting on the 26th. That we're having more with regards to mental health, because that will be in the evening of October 1st as an extension of our regular Tuesday meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Aye. Aye, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Commissioner's Office requesting the board approve and execute letters to board members Nicole Nicolay and Jeffrey Klein of the Board of Mental Health and Recovery Services, notifying them that their removal from the board in accordance with Section 2.6 Geauga County Board of Mental Health and Recovery Services bylaws.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler? Commissioner Lund?
Aye. And then,
Just to be clear on that, that section 2.6 was attendance. They both failed to properly meet the attendance
correct.
requirements.
Yep. So I'd like to make a motion to move to appoint Gregory O'Brien to the Mental Health Board to fill the seat for, the unexpired seat for, or the removed seat of Nicole Nicolay.
And that is through June 30th of 21.
Okay. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Lund?
Yes. And then I'd also like to make a motion to appoint Mary Ruth Shumway back to the board to fill the position of the unexpired term of Jeffrey Klein. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Lund?
Yes.
And that one ends when?
When's that?
That is, Klein ends June 30th of 2022.
Sorry, did you say 2022?
Yes.
Great, okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay, this is the Commissioner's Office requesting the board approve hiring of law firm Manser Gavin LPA to represent the board in the annexation proceedings recently filed by Deborah D. Demko, trustee, and Paul D. Demko, trustee, regarding 13483 Kinsman Road, Burton Township, Ohio, and to execute an engagement agreement with the firm. The compensation to be paid to Manser Gavin for legal services shall be fixed so as not to exceed the sum of $4,500 as required by ORC 305.14C. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Lund?
Aye. Okay, and the Commissioner's Office requesting the board formally acknowledge receipt of the petition from annexation, revised code 709.02, filed by Paul D. Demko Jr. as agent for the petitioners on September 20th, 2019, and enter the petition upon the Journal of the Board as required by Ohio Revised Code 709.03, and further acknowledge that on September 20th, 2019, the petition, legal description, and map were referred to County Engineer's Office for a report on accuracy. A motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Lund?
Aye. Okay, and then Commissioner's Office requesting the board set Tuesday, December 10th, 2019 at 10 a.m. to hold a public hearing regarding the petition for annexation filed by Paul D. Demko Jr., agent for annexation of 40.4667 acres, parcel number 04-034300, and also 33.77 acres at 13483 Kinsman Road, parcel number 04-15096. Also 3.53 acres at 14655 Bigelow Road and parcel number 04-150928. And then there's 3.17 acres at 14673 Bigelow Road in Burton Township to the Village of Burton, and shall also notify the agent for the petitioner of the same. This public hearing will be held in Commissioners' Chambers at 470 Center Street, public, or building number 4, Chardon, Ohio. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Levesey?
Aye. Okay, and then Commissioners will hold recess until 7 p.m., where they will reconvene at 470 Center Street, building number 8, Chardon, for the public hearing at 7 p.m. for the proposed Chardon Township wastewater treatment plant and sewer project to improve the Berkshire Heights subdivision. Motion, please.
Nope.
Huh? No motion?
We just
Okay.
recessed.
Just acknowledge.
Oh, okay, good.
So
That's
for
right.
this meeting that we rescheduled for
The
next
first
Monday
Tuesday.
or Tuesday,
We'll
where's
have
that
regular
gonna-
session in the morning,
Right.
and then you'll recess like you are today, and then we will reconvene in building number 8
So-
meeting room, just like we
So,
are tonight.
as far as for building number 8, is there a reason that we're doing it there, or?
Just for the space of capacity, we
If
have
there's
a
a
large
change.
number of cars.
Okay.
You don't know? Does
I
anyone-
mean, do you feel that there would just, is that just a
Just as a precautionary.
insurance, or?
Yeah. Just in case.
Just
Okay.
in case.
Could be a,
Big turnout?
based on the discussion that's gonna occur, it could be a big turnout.
Okay.
It could be 6 people.
Okay.
And we don't know, so just to be,
Okay.
what we don't wanna do is say it's gonna be here and then have to
stop and move.
stop and move everything down.
This way, if it's prepped and set, then
Okay.
Okay. So,
you have budget hearings this afternoon starting at noon.
noon? Okay.
So 4.
So where are we gonna meet? Here?
Yes, budget hearings will be
In here?
It's
At 4?
11 o'clock.
Or at 12? 12.
So you have time to operate it.
All right.
I
Well,
think that's it, right?
I think that's it.
Yeah. Any questions, comments? None?
Let me see that.
Yeah.
You got an extra clip there?
Sure. Jerry, you said that 2.6 was attendance. Could you say that louder? What was that about?
It was
Oh.
based on the attendance record for the board members.
By their
Come
bylaws.
often enough, and then.
Correct.
Yeah.
One,
Didn't
Miss
meet the requirement.
Migley missed 4 meetings. They were all excused, but if they're, whether they're excused or unexcused, if you miss 4 meetings in a year,
The appointing
board
authority.
can vacate the
Okay.
appointment. Mr. Klein, it was 2 unexcused absences.
So these were seats that the commissioners had appointed?
Correct.
Okay.
You have not received a letter of resignation from Mr. Klein,
No.
but you had, I thought you had from Ms. Shumway.
No, her term
Her term
expires.
expired
Her
in
term
June.
expired.
Okay, so did she reapply for the position?
Yeah.
She did.
Yep. Yeah, good. Okay.
So when you're ready, just give me a motion to
Motion,
recess.
motion to recess.
So moved.
Second that.
Who's our first budget hearing